World support Ukraine.
World support Ukraine.
All together we will win.
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 Help Ukraine protect peace.
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 My friends, our means of achieving this end of a victory for Ukraine have always been clear. We have always been very clear about what we want to happen. We want freedom, including freedom of speech, perhaps one of the most important freedoms ever. That is why any person who wants to learn more about this is welcome to ask us some questions. And we don't shy away from uncomfortable questions. We do not shy away from Russian propaganda. If there are people bringing Russian propaganda here, we will answer those questions nonetheless. However, usually those people don't really want to hear their answers. They already made up their answers in their own minds, even before they ask the questions, my friends. And that is the real issue, is when people are unwilling to learn, unwilling to understand that they could be mistaken about some things. That is the real problem. But that, my friends, is what we want to change. We want to tell the whole world what's going on in Ukraine. We are willing to answer questions from the whole world about how we're going to make this happen and why the world needs to care about the current situation in Ukraine. Not just for the benefit of the Ukrainians, but for the benefit of everybody on this planet. The future of humanity is being decided right now in Ukraine. And that is not an exaggeration, my friends. Ukraine gave up the third biggest nuclear arsenal in the world in exchange of nothing but a peace agreement with Russia. That was the biggest nuclear demilitarization in human history. And what is made of it now? It seems like some people have forgotten the sacrifices that the Ukrainian people have made in the past. We do not regret giving up those weapons. However, we do regret trusting the words of those who didn't deserve our trust. Perhaps Ukraine should not have demilitarized long ago in the past. Because the precedent for a country that commits such a sacrifice for world peace and gets attacked for it by a foreign power that has promised to never do as such, the precedent, my friends, is terrifying. The precedent is that any country that has nuclear weapons can do whatever they please to any country that does not. It is a terrifying world to live in. And I'm certain any people around this city or around the whole world would like to live under this system. Nobody would like to live under it. Let's get that straight, my friends. However, inaction does not fix any problems. Allowing Russia to have all the initiative in the world does not fix any problems. It just makes them worse. The Russians will never retreat from Ukraine, never, until they are beaten, until they are knocked back into Russia. That is the only way for us to end this war. Let that be known. And hypocritical movements such as Not Our War and Stop the War might claim all day and night that sending weapons to Ukraine is only fueling the conflict, because these points are idiotic. Helping the victims survive against the aggressor is not fueling the war, it's preventing a genocide from happening. That is something we all must understand, my friends. It's been such a long time since Russia has first attacked Ukraine. And I'm not even talking about the history before the Soviet Union or during the Soviet Union, when the Russians have repeatedly attempted a mass extermination of the Ukrainian people via the Holodomor. An ethnic extermination that killed around 10 million Ukrainians. via starvation, a man-made starvation by the Russian terrorist regime back then, when they were the rulers of the Soviet Union. My friends, Ukraine is known as the breadbasket of Europe. Ukraine has the most fertile soil in the world and the biggest percentage of fertile soil out of any country in the world. How would Ukraine have such a famine? It's impossible. But it is possible, of course, if you have communist scum ruling your country and taking away everything that you own, to make you starve to death, to make you die, and to make the other people under their yoke afraid.
Just to re-emphasise Pablo's point, if you look at the books, you understand the Holodomor of 1932. There was no drought. This was not natural. This was a year of bumper harvest. This was a terrible choice between death by starvation, or if you took a few pieces of grain to stop yourself from starving, being shot for theft of state property. Needless to say, I cannot emphasise, because I wasn't there, but this was so many ways a famine that should never have had to happen, and should not have happened. Especially, you had a woman eating her own kids. That's how bad it was. But like I said, but even worse, this was a year of bumper harvest.
Thank you, Tom. Truth of the matter is, many people still don't know about this. It hasn't been that long since this was finally recognized as a genocide by the United Kingdom. That is sad, my friends. It's sad that for such a long time, so many countries in the world had not recognized it as such, as a genocide of the Ukrainian people. But now, the people of this country have made the right choice. And the people of this country know what it is to oppose authoritarianism, what it is to oppose fascism. That is why the great people of Great Britain stand beside the Ukrainian people in our never-ending march towards final peace. Because, my friends, world peace might be unachievable, at least in its completion, but we can come very close to it. Just because absolute peace and completely flawless existence might be out of reach doesn't mean we should stop chasing it. We need to keep moving towards the future, towards a better future. A future of nuclear demilitarization and not of nuclear saber rattling, such as the Russian terrorist regime has always done and will continue to always do until it's finally put on its place. The only language the Russian terrorist regime understands, the only language that can be used to be negotiating with them, is force, my friends. If they feel like they can get away with anything whatsoever, they will do it. The only thing preventing the Russian terrorist regime from using their nuclear weapons is the fear of inevitable and overwhelming retaliation by the Western countries. But that fear is not eternal. That fear is what's preventing them from using those weapons. And yet, it did not prevent them from attacking Ukraine. Ukraine should have joined NATO all those years ago, even before 2014, even before 2008, when the conversation was still going on about these issues. And in 2008, as we all well know, Georgia was invaded by Russia in Abkhazia and South Ossetia. The Russians have claimed exactly the same kinds of shallow lies that they're claiming against the Ukrainian people right now, my friends. They're beating that dead horse, even after it's kicked the bucket long ago. They're continuing to use the same cheap arguments and the same nonsensical word juggling. We must not believe in them, because they have proven themselves to be liars over and over and over again. We have to understand. Thank you very much, my friend. Thank you very much. Have a lovely day, my friends. Thank you, thank you. Thank you very much. There's lovely people coming by here. You know, this is what I understand. People coming by and sending their message properly. You know, back and forward. Freedom of speech. It's something that does not exist in Russia. And it's something they're planning to take away from everybody else. And yet, We have those who don't understand this. We have those who pass by us and shout, Slava Rossii, or Veliki Sovietsky Soyuz, as I remember one individual on the other side of the road one time said. Imagine that. Imagine somebody passing by and doing some Zig Heils here.
How disrespectful.
That would be very unbelievably poor taste.
And disrespectful.
Well, disrespectful, that's saying it mildly, Tommy, honestly. That's saying it very politely. That would be absolutely atrocious. But my friends, why is it that the Russians are not afraid to support the Soviet Union? Because that fast stigma against the Soviet Union does not exist yet. And yet it should. There exists a fair amount of stigma against the Nazis. And there should always be stigma against them. Those individuals are disgusting. And we should never come back to any regime that in any way resembles Nazi Germany. But why is it that there is so much sympathy for the Soviet Union? A regime that's so similar to Nazi Germany. A regime that killed even more people than Nazi Germany. Why is it that the same stigma is not applied to them? Why is it that all of these terrorist regimes like Russia, Iran and North Korea don't get the stigma they deserve? And keep in mind, my friends, we are willing and able, and we have done it. We have supported the people of these countries who oppose their terrorist regimes. We've done joint rallies with our Iranian friends many times. We have nothing against them. In fact, personally, I love the Iranian culture. They're one of the greatest and most important cultures in human history. They were truly ahead of their time, especially with Cyrus the Great, who banned slavery, the first empire of the world that had banned slavery, way ahead of its time. And this was in the ancient world. But now their history is being bastardized by the terrorist Ayatollah regime and by the terrorist IRGC. That is why we support our Iranian friends who oppose their regime. We only wish, thank you very much, we only wish that the Russians opposed the Russian terrorist regime just as much. How many people have been in prison, tortured and killed by the Ayatollah regime? Countless. And yet the Iranian people fight on, and they will win one day. Because the only way to truly and certainly make your defeat inevitable is to give up. And they have not given up. That is why we stand with them. Because their fight is our fight. Their victory is our victory. All together, we will win.
All together, we will win.
All together, we will win.
All together.